So we're going to move on to the next part of the presentation, and we're going to be talking about avatars and how it impacts your process as a creative, and how much do you see yourself represented in it, or yeah, how you experience it working with the human body, in this case, through CLO3D. To start with, I have a short piece that I would like to share from our students at Willem de Koning. So I will share slightly differently. Let me just move to the screen that I need. So just
Yeah, well, the representation is very important, especially also looking at my concepts where I discuss not being able to see myself in the future because there aren't really like queer bodies that are represented in media or animations in which I can see myself. So from that perspective, I could really see the value in representation through different body types, but also different skin colors, textures, just so that people can see themselves in what is supposed to represent them.
Yeah, for me, I think in my future image, I'm talking about everyone, and with everyone, we have to include everyone. So we don't have to forget different ages, races, and body types. And I think some of them get forgetting quite often. So yeah, it's very important to show diversity.
So this is an interview held with the students of Willem de Koning. And what they have done is that they are shaping their idea of the future fashion. And they did this by identifying another person and placing this into context of the concept that they wanted to develop. And for that project, we introduced them, as previously mentioned as well from UL, is that we got them to scan an environment, make observations, but also see how we might be able to use these tools differently as a form of research, as a form of creation. And these two students, we will see their work a bit later on. But I would like for us to please get started with the first assignment. So if it is correct, I will see which screen you are seeing. Everybody has now a WeTransfer file with the content. It's called Me You Ask CLO3D 22/1/2025. Today we're going to be working from this file. The first thing that we're going to be doing is to be bringing the avatar into CLO. Through the exercises that we shared before the session, we teach you a bit more in depth the basic use of the avatars. And now we're going to go into the next step. Let's pretend that you have signed up into Connect, as Fernanda was just mentioning. And then it's also possible to find a varied options for avatars, hair, shoes, accessories. Clo provides more than 300 blocks, as Fernanda was showing, that have been, many have been added this year. So it also goes with the time and the styles. And this makes it possible for you to do two things. One is to already have something to get started, to remove this bottleneck and this nervousness of, yeah, where do I even start? Just to get comfortable with the software, but also when it comes to inclusivity and diversity, as our student Bink just mentioned, is that you also want to see yourself reflected within what is provided. So it is also possible for you as a maker to add, to connect your own designs. All you need is to have an account, and when you log in, they will show you more details. But for us right now, what I would like us to first test is to bring an avatar into CLO. So if I go to the screen, you see here the library, which we introduced in the previous material, but in case you might have missed it by any chance, here on the left side, we will see always the materials that we're working with. And it makes it possible to bring in a garment, an avatar. Important to mention, when we talk about avatars, we are not only talking about digital twins of a body. As Fernanda mentioned, you can also make accessories, or maybe in the end you make a stage within CLO. It would be possible to save these and export them as OBJs, which is a 3D file. And this you could bring back into CLO, and then it will also recognize it as an avatar. So if I would double click, you see that there's, as I mentioned, the avatars of the different bodies, and you also have 3D shapes. So that would mean that I could double click and have this into my scene. Sometimes you see that in some promotional content with digital fashion, that an avatar comes out from behind a wall. This is done with this method. But for today, we're going to focus on the human digital twins. And I would like to show how to bring them into CLO. So if you go on this plus sign, it will open the location of the computer. And I have here my folder, just the same as hopefully you have. I double click. And then here you see these are the files we're going to be using throughout the day. And then I can add open. If you look here on the left, my library has automatically been updated and the folder is now in here. Could I please get a confirmation if this is also working for the rest of you, maybe in the chat? And if it isn't, also in the chat, thank you. So yes, okay, great. And then if I would click to open the arrow down, you see that it is possible for me to see the names of the different files. If I click on me, you, us, it will show all the files, and it also shows how you want to view the files. Okay, so for today, we're gonna start with avatar. So I will double click on the folder avatar, and we have prepared two avatars. We have the avatar moon and the avatar sun. We have done this in consideration that even though there has been great developments within CLO and other 3D tools, there's still some broader representation required. And we wanted to make sure that everybody feels comfortable in how we refer to the avatars. For this first step, I would like to invite you to select one of the avatars and bring it into your scene. The scene is on the left side in the 3D window. You could do so in two ways. You can double click and it will add it to the window. But as we learned in the tutorials, if you already have something else in the window, I wouldn't recommend to double click to add it, but I would right click, add to workspace, so that it doesn't overwrite the file which you already have. Okay, so the first thing we've done is to bring in the avatar. The second thing we will do in a moment is to maybe we want to change it a bit. So I could go here to file 1.1, which is styling. And here you could see that we have imported files that we downloaded from Connect, which gives a bit more variety in the styles that I want. So I could click here and then I double click and I can add another haircut to my avatar. This is if you go, for example, if you're bringing files completely from an external source. But you can always also, if you want to go back, you click on the file with the double dots and it will bring you higher in the hierarchy. And in this case, I also imported some shoes. So I am going to double click and add the shoes. And you see here, I started to style my avatar. But of course, like Fernanda said, sometimes we jump steps, right? So I also got excited and I wanted to show you, okay, this is how we bring stuff into CLO from, for example, Connect or maybe Blender or somewhere else where you made additions for the avatar. But in the CLO library up here, you can always go and double click on avatar. And in this case, I'm using the female version 2 files. I could double click on that one. And here you see there's a variety of avatars. If you hover over them, it will show you what they are looking like. You can also see that I have made some custom avatars and brought them into CLO. But I could also say, okay, I want to edit my avatar a little bit further. There is the possibility to choose a haircut. When it comes to hairstyles for the avatars, it is very important to keep in mind if you're wearing a hat that you are not putting like a hair done that it's like hairdo that is having like a bun over here, or like for the um, male avatars that you're putting like a high haircut, because then it's gonna clash with your design. So then we recommend to keep it simple and easy for it to not clash as much. And the same goes when it comes to when you're having like colored accessories. It is always better to prevent the collision between the two. The bright side is that I can share that there have been updates recently within CLO, which makes it possible to limit these things. So if some of you who might have had a bit more experience with CLO have seen that the garment is clipping with the avatar, there have been updates to this as well. So this is one worry less, thanks to the CLO team, for you in the future when you customize your avatars. Okay, so in this case, I have uh, made my avatar ready. I could also choose, if I go one step back, what we mentioned in the tutorials is that you can also, for example, change the size of the avatar. And here there's different ways of approaching that size. Because you can do a custom sizing, but if you click on a folder, and here you see I cannot really read what is there, so I can also change it into the text form, and it says a bit of a standardized body type, and I could select somebody who in this case is referred to as a more straight body type, and I can select in what size I would like the avatar to have that. So if, for example, if I double click, and then you see that the sizing of my avatar has changed. So through the avatar library, it is possible to select at the moment between these classifications of avatar. Within each classification, you can select if you want to add what is referred to in CLO as accessories, is also hair and shoes. And you can also go and work with the sizes. And lastly, you can work with poses. In this case, we have chosen an A or a T pose. If you double click, it always brings you into the file. If you go to the top file with the two buttons, it brings you one up. So this also helps you to navigate a bit more the folders. But now here you see that I have different poses. What is, I think, making it more inclusive and more fun gradually is that in the past you could only give to the female a set of poses and to the male a set of poses. But now CLO has made it possible that you can give the same poses, like you can invert them. So I could technically go now to the male pose and also give that to the avatar. And that also applies to animation. But when we are getting started, we always recommend it be better to have the A pose or the T pose, because it makes it possible to better place the garments on the avatars. So this was I think the first part to showing you how to get the avatar into the scene. Just a small addition, which also Fernanda mentioned, is that if you would go on this little white character over here, it will let you to show or not show your avatar. So this is how you have sometimes garments that the avatar is invisible but is still draped. You can have the arrangement points, which we referred to in the video. And also here you see that I've changed my avatar somewhat. And that's why the arrangement points are not exactly there. So then you can redo this step and then the garments will fit properly again. And lastly, but very important, is that later when you are working a bit more with CLO, you also learn to work with the different joints and the different modes so that you can also make your own poses and be more custom within the design of the avatar. But if you say, okay, I don't want to see any of these anymore, I just want to see my regular avatar, you go back here and then you just uncheck it. And then you have your avatar ready to get started.